How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for joining me on ZK Live.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
So, people who don't know you, where are you located? What is your company look like?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Where are you located, and what does your company look like?
We are located in Calgary, Alberta, and we are a crew of currently 4 to 5 people.
I have my first question. I was going to ask, where does the company come from?
It's my grandfather's last name and my last name, and he's the original painter in the family. So I thought it would be nice to keep that and send them home little T-shirts with their last name on them. Literally, the whole reason I started this company is so I could name it after my grandfather and send him home a T-shirt. I'm pretty sure to summarize it.
I don't think I've heard that origin story before.
I just thought it would be sweet.
Yeah. So then, how did you get into the painting trade? Your grandfather?
No, actually, I think we have kind of a similar story. Um, I'd actually planned to go to med school, and then I just dropped out of everything and decided to hitchhike across the country. That's probably not a similar story, but um, and then I just landed in painting, honestly. Like, I made a lot of mistakes to get here. Definitely didn't go to med school. Probably never going to go to med school because painting's kind of harder, I think. Painting's probably a little more challenging than being a doctor.
That's funny that you said that. I had the same dreams, and I think we maybe have some similar. For me, part of what railed me, my disease and being an addict, and you know,
Yeah.
already in college, I like to go to school.
Yeah, it took a long time to ride that train. I worked in the liquor industry for, I don't know, a few years and just basically got paid in booze and really took that home. And then I just couldn't do it anymore. And I picked up a paintbrush one day and I lied. I said I could paint. I said I had like 2 years experience. And then I was given this house, like a probably $1.5 million house to paint. And I was like, sure, no problem. And I just lied my way straight into it. And here I am.
How did that go?
Um, on the first day, my boss was like, okay, we need you to paint the gables and the fascia and get that all finished, and we're going to start on the body. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And then the second he left, I just had to Google what gables were, what a fascia was, how to use a paintbrush. So yeah, I had like basic knowledge, but I was not a painter.
Wow.
Yeah, so that worked out, I guess.
And then did you just love it right away?
Yeah, I really did love it. I think honestly, it was weird because I was with a lot of grubby companies, like a lot of jeans and t-shirt new build companies, a lot of just old men running other old men companies, and I loved painting, but I hated painting culture. I hated how dirty it was. I hated how grumpy it was. And I thought about getting out of it for a while, and then when I got to Calgary, I started with a company, and I don't necessarily agree with anything else that company does, but I saw how clean cut they were, how well their books were done, how well their systems were organized, like how friendly their employees were. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of gave me a new lease, and I realized I could take older world craft that I learned from the miserable old men who taught me and just put a new spin on it and not be one of those, like new companies that come up and they just have no idea what they're doing. They just look kind of cute and people buy into it and they have no clue how to apply paint. So I just took what I learned from the grumpy guys and then marketed it in the same way that the new guys who didn't really know what they were doing marketed themselves. And I think I don't know, I think I've reignited why I started painting again.
Yeah, I think I love the idea of the good stuff and like getting and going past that and putting your own spin. I felt the same way working for people my whole career.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I like these things they do, but I could do it better.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah, I felt so held back. It was like, oh, you guys are almost there. You
totally.
guys are almost there. I love all these things, but this is so wrong. And it was, yeah, it just got to me.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same way. And then, so how did it go from working to starting your own company?
Honestly, I was at one job site and I was just pushed to the limit and everything was going wrong because the wrong systems were being used. And I was actually drinking pretty heavily as well at that point. And I literally just drove off the job. I like calmly packed up my tools. I was like, okay, guys, I'm gonna see you later. And I just walked off the job site and I just like drove into the prairies for as long as I could. And then I was like, I quit. I either have to go to rehab or like find a new career path because this is nuts. Like, it's not sustainable to work like this for another company, not getting paid enough, with all these stressors. And um, I just took a month and just had a bit of a mental breakdown. And then I got a call saying, hey, can you come paint my whole apartment complex? Like 20 units.
Okay, that's not what I expected you to say.
And I was like, okay, I could do that. I could paint. It's just apartments. And I did it. And by the time I was done that, I had someone else say like, hey, I have more apartment units. Like, I got your name from so and so. Can you come paint my apartment units? And then I had those for so long. And within those, it just snowballed. I honestly didn't even try to start a business. I had no idea what I was doing.
How did that first call about the apartments? Where did that come?
I had I'd done work on apartments with the last company I worked with, and I left them, and they called me because I was the point of contact, and I just said no, sorry, I don't work for them anymore. It's not my problem. And they were like, oh well, we just want you. And I was like, that seems shady. And they were like, well, just so you know, if you're gone, we're just not going to use them anymore anyway. So you can either take it or we're going to find new painters anyway. So it worked out, and it floated me for the first probably year and a half, where I could slowly start to build up clientele, even through the building owners and whatnot. Generally, if you own an apartment building, you have quite a bit of money. So that got me into some more higher end stuff. And then I slowly worked my way back up into more high end where I wanted to be, not really painting apartments. But yeah.
That's crazy. So if you do good work and you're like good customer, it's magically, I
Yeah,
think
you
work
can
out.
literally start from the ground. If you paint shitty apartments really, really, really nice a few times, people start to give you nicer and nicer things.
That was definitely my story as well. Just way over delivering and being way underpaid.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, make nothing. Spend 25, 30 hours on an apartment wall, repaint one coat that should be 5 hours.
Yeah,
Like, it's ridiculous. The stuff I did was ridiculous. I got paid nothing.
that's crazy. So and you were to go back to so when you got started your own thing, had this, then did the substance abuse like stop or reduce because of the lack of stress?
It kind of got worse because I realized,
I was like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, it got significantly worse because I had more money,
Yeah.
um, and I had more stress because who knew it was so stressful running a paint company? Holy cow!
Yep.
um, and it puts a lot of stress on your life. It puts a lot of stress on your home life. It doesn't leave a lot of room for you to relax or reflect on your behaviors. You just spend every ounce of energy getting up in the morning and getting to work. Like you shit the bed on so many things. And yeah, you just don't get a lot done. So it got worse before it got better, for sure.
Yeah.
But then it took about 2 years into my business, I think, before realizing that it honestly is just not sustainable. I like completely flipped my life up on its back and just left everything, quit everything, and it's been ridiculous ever since. It's been like phenomenal growth. Customer service is way better. Like, I just want to send out apology cards to the customers in the first, probably in the second year of business, because we were so busy and I was just so done. I was just done. Yeah, but
I buy some, and
hmm?
I'm just how I want to go knock on the door. Apologize
Yeah,
for the.
yeah, like sorry for never sending you an estimate. Sorry for walking off your job site. Sorry for, so many things. You just don't have the same management of your emotions, I guess, when
Yeah.
you're in that state.
At least I was riding roller coaster throughout drinking and drugging. It was
Yeah,
no day was your brain is trying to stay afloat.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You use pretty much every ounce of your brain.
Yeah.
I'd say what you normally use at 100% of your day now, like myself at 100% of my day, I was probably using 10% of what I could have used.
Yeah.
And I would come home exhausted. And I would go to bed exhausted, and I would wake up exhausted. And then I would drink because I was exhausted. And it just wasn't it. You can't sustainably run a business or your life like that, realistically.
No, I'm cutting out. People are saying, "Let me see if this works." Can you guys hear me better now? Is that better? Oh man. Somebody say something in the comments. Is it worse or better?
Whose sound is down?
Staticky. Mine. Hmm. Yeah, I have like a weird echo thing in my ear now. It's worse. Wait, somebody said much better. Wait a second. All right. How's that? I'm echoing. Is this tolerable for anybody or
Not podcast level.
oh man. All right, so you know what? I'm gonna not talk and we'll just keep having you talk. That's the idea. Um
Oh, mine's good.
so then tell me about getting clean and like when you started to say maybe I should stop drinking.
Well, I'm going through a divorce right now. Full disclosure for everybody on the internet. um, and I left the house I was living in with my partner. And I just didn't want it to be in vain. My marriage is over. I have this business. That's literally all I have left is my business. And I just didn't want to leave it and just keep doing the same thing, I guess. Um, so I just completely moved into a new place. About, I guess it was May last year. And I I didn't really have a choice to look back. Like, I if I continued, not to get heavy, but if I continued drinking, I would have died drinking. So those were my options, you know. And I don't know, your business, it can be at a fault. I guess your business just offers you a really good place to channel all of that initial frustration you're having, where you would normally just sit at home and just sweat. You can just put it into your business. And a lot of people, and I'm sure I've done it, can do it to a fault as well. But if you can create something better from it, go hard, I guess.
Totally. Yeah, I think that especially initially in early recovery for me, yeah, it was awesome to have that. And now I have to apply the same things that I was applying to not using,
Yeah.
not becoming a workaholic. And, you know,
Yeah. You really see where addiction just sneaks in everywhere. You're like, oh, I'll just do this one more quote. You're like, oh, just one more hour, and we don't have to come in early in the morning. And then you just come in early in the morning anyway, and you
yep,
just keep working.
gotta
Yeah, it's
do,
good mindfulness, I guess, to apply that to everything, literally everything. I'll attach to literally anything I can attach to, and overdo it on all of it.
I totally. And when for me, that's addiction. It's obsession and compulsion. Boy, my nature does not like moderation.
No, no, me either. But you know what? Addicts make great painters. If you can channel it, you'll be a great painter because you'll just become obsessed. And we see it on here. The people who have gotten sober and are just phenomenal
Yeah,
craftspeople. You
yeah. And I think that I for a while I was on here and I don't know if I like at first I was like I don't know if I'm going to talk about this openly and like I was
Yeah.
interviewed a bunch of times and never really talked about it openly and like as time goes on I like more and more I'm just like yeah like this is my story hopefully it helps. I'm coming up on 6 years clean and I have a thriving and it's not a coincidence those things are happening.
No, it's crazy. And I actually love Instagram because I love seeing the sobriety posts and going down through them and seeing all the painters that are like, hey, yeah, I'm on 2 years. I'm on 9 years. I've been sober for 15 years. I remember, I think it was Turner Painting did one of those posts a while ago, probably about a year ago when I got sober. And I read it one night and I just sobbed. And I was like, oh, damn, that, that hurts.
Yeah,
And I probably got sober within 2 weeks of that post, I think.
not the next day. That's not how it works. Nobody's
No, no, I had to go hard first.
yep. Well, first of all, I'm so happy to hear that you are not using and that you're sober right now. Um, every day that we another day clean is, it's huge.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it is.
so when I asked earlier about like what makes your company special, you talked about bringing humanity into like the business. Let's talk about that for a little.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted, it's like I said with the grumpy old men. And sorry if you're a grumpy old man in the comments, but it just, I don't know, painters have a certain image. Any painter I've worked for who's run a business, they come in and they don't really talk to the client. They're kind of like, oh, I'm busy. I gotta paint. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Like, just won't give them the time of day. And it's just uncomfortable to be around. So I was just like, I have no sales experience whatsoever, like none. I just talk to people. I don't even push things. Like, I'll go into someone's house and I'll say, no, you don't need to paint that. Like, no, we're not gonna paint that. That's fine. Like, I say that more in a quote than I say, yeah, have you thought about painting this? Have you thought about painting that? Like, I'm not gonna upsell you. I'd rather just, honestly, sometimes I've actually forgotten to send quotes to people, but I just get so caught up in just going into someone's house and just getting to know. It's so funny, just getting to know them I'm like, wow, that was a great experience. And then I forget to do the quote, and I shouldn't do that. But um, I don't know. I've just made a point to just be who I am. And at first that was really hard to do because I'm not a typical looking painter. I don't really hire typical looking painters. Um, I come out and tell people, hey, I use these pronouns, or hey, I'm this, or hey, these things matter. Here are social events. You're all going to unfollow me. That's okay. But here are some things that are important you should know about. And I watch my followers just go down and down and down and down. And then that sucks. But then I'm left with a really core group of clients who will literally die for Oram painting. Like they just go so crazy for the company, and they're so, I don't know, it's weird to have loyal clients and loyal fans who aren't even clients but will just push your company just because you're like, hey, I'm this, and someone relates to that, or someone's son relates to that, and they just see, I don't know, just a more human side in it, as opposed to we just put paint on your walls. Like I've heard so many painters say, I don't know, man, I just put paint on the wall.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's boring.
Yeah,
Why make it such a boring thing?
totally. That's why I was like, I'm not going to keep doing this if it's not going to be something more than that. But I think that authenticity is something that people really respond to, especially on social media. Um, and when you just like, the more we just are who we are and put it, you attract people that are into that.
Yeah. And you know what? At first I did get a lot of follower loss and not a lot of negative feedback, more so follower loss, client loss. People have dipped out of jobs for sure. But now I don't have to go into job sites and feel stressed to be who I am. I can just go in as an open book. These people already know so much about me. Like they know what sandals I'm wearing today. Like I I don't have to feel shocked or someone else feels shocked about who's coming into their house. And it's just so much more comforting. It's so much more enjoyable. It makes sales easier. It makes it easier to just connect to people in general when you're like, okay, this person has seen literally everything. Like I've just blabbed my whole life away on my business page. So hire us.
I mean, I think, yeah, that obviously that that's very that's a successful a powerful way to find your true fan and not just be like a vanilla, like trying everything to all people, which I don't think is good business in general unless you're, you know if you have widgets or something, maybe. But when
Yeah.
there's only so much. uh,
Yeah. I just think it makes it nicer for everyone involved. Like it's nice that someone's in your house and you know who they are. You know? You're not I've never had a client be worried to give us a key, or be worried to leave their house unlocked, or be no one's ever worried. And I realized that when I was with other companies, people were so worried. People would cancel work and stay home for 2 weeks just to like make sure you didn't go through their jewelry or something. And I don't think I've had any client ever do that. Like, I don't even think there's been a hesitation when I've been like, oh, yeah, we need complete access to your home and belongings.
and that's all led by Instagram, correct?
Oh, fully. I don't, I honestly don't even know how to have a company without Instagram. Like, it just wouldn't exist. I don't know if I'm that motivated. Like, to go out and knock on doors and say, hey, you don't know me. Let me paint your house. It's
I
just a weird niche of marketing.
Yeah, and I think we have very similar businesses in a way. And I look at and I think we have, like you said, I'm just putting me out and our team out. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, here's a camera. Hey, here's what we're doing today. Here's what we think. Here's how we act. And day in and day out, I'm going to keep doing that. And magically, you get a loyal following.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I remember you saying that Instagram was crucial to your business like maybe a year ago or something. And at that point, I just started to pick up on Instagram, like huge pickup. And I kind of took that and was like, oh, wow, like people are actually doing this. Isn't just a blip in my reality. Like you can actually use Instagram to run your company. Like that may change. But now you can. I think I told you earlier, but probably 80% of our leads come from Instagram at like a fairly high close rate.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's not just people fishing. It's people saying like, "Hey, I've seen your guys' work obsessively. Like I'm obsessed with your work. Can
Yes.
I hire you? I've told my husband he doesn't get a say."
I get it all the time. We want you and your company, not we are looking for a painter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of, and I don't think a lot of people are blessed with this, but it's a lot of people not even getting at any other estimates.
Yep.
Just no. Or maybe they'll get one to appease something, whether it's in them or their builder or their husband or whatever. And they'll tell me straight out like, oh, this is, don't worry about it. That's fake. We're not going with them.
I'm so happy to hear that because I tell people all the time that I'm not special and that what we're doing is not a fluke and that Instagram is a very vital thing and take the time, invest in it, and I think a lot of people think I'm nuts, but
It
you know,
could, yeah.
and I probably am, but I also know that people are finding on Instagram, and so to hear you say that is awesome.
It is hard to get traction, I will say. Like at first, it's really hard to get traction. Um, and we don't even do anything that spectacular. I guess we don't post spectacular shots of our work. Like I'm a horrible photographer. I hate it. It's not, it's not my thing. But we actually had a couple influencers in the city just be like, and we didn't even offer them free work or anything. They just reached out and we did their work and we got a couple reposts and it just went absolutely nuts. And if you follow that wave, like don't let it die. If you just like ride it to the top, you can get people interested.
Yeah.
Humble brag.
Oh, and that's awesome to hear that they reached out and didn't ask for stuff because
Yeah, no.
sometimes that happens, but and and a lot of times those are not the people that you want to associate with anyway if they're asking for stuff.
No, not really. Um like we'll throw in stuff here and there, like the first person who reached out to me, I just said, I have no idea about Instagram. This seems like it has value. Like I didn't know what an influencer was. It seems like it has value. What do you think your value lands at in like a monetary way? Here's a bit of a deal on the painting. Like that's the most we've done.
Yeah.
And little did I know that that is just gold. It is just unmined gold.
Influencer marketing it's huge, right? And a lot of the big brands get it, but I don't think all the paint contractors out there understand how all that stuff is.
No, it's unreal. Like say what you want about influencers, but like one post and I got 15,000 followers, I think, once. I'm only at 15,000 now because I pissed the rest of them off, but And they come and go. Influencer followers are kind of weird. They drop off pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because they just follow anything, I guess. So they drop off pretty quick, but you can get a pretty solid base started from it, especially if you can find local ones.
Yeah.
Local is the key. It's no point in having someone who's in, me having someone in Toronto repost my stuff. Those are just fake numbers at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you want to get in local communities, local influencers, local groups. It's the moms. You got to go for the moms.
That's the hardest part about Instagram is it's not very regional generally.
Yeah.
And
We have a huge Instagram community in the city. Like, it's a big Instagram city for moms and painters. A lot of really great painters come from this city as well. So I've actually had people reach out to me and say they go on Instagram and search, YYC painters to find painters, because that's how big it is in the city.
that is amazing. And
Yeah.
that's the future. And if people don't understand that, like contractors who don't understand that will get left behind, because it's funny. It's the scrappy, young, unproven, like small startup companies like you and I that have had all the success on Instagram, and these big established companies are like, oh no, or hire someone and they'll post these vanilla, bland posts about, I can't wait. Can't you wait till it's spring outside?
Yeah,
And like,
from Pinterest.
oh gosh,
I know, I see it and I'm like, oh, suckers. You
yeah,
guys are suckers.
or nothing. It's pointless. They're not going to get it by putting out, like, here's me today,
Yeah.
me tomorrow, and the next day, and you can like it or not like it, but
Yeah. And I mean, I think some people still follow for the big companies who post the preset content that posts at a certain time and says this cheesy thing that I couldn't even bring myself to say if I tried. Like, I can't do it. But I think most people are kind of catching on to it. They're not really falling for the 500 5-star reviews anymore, with just the dumb slogans and the marketing. Like, I think last year I probably spent nothing in marketing. I considered getting Home Advisor for about 10 minutes. And there are companies spending 50 grand a year in marketing. Why, when you could just use Instagram for free? Currently, you can use Instagram for free.
take a picture of what you. That's
Yeah.
it.
You don't have to just watch it roll in. Humble brag.
Yeah, it's so true. I always look at the big companies and I'm like, man, if you took that money and hired a photographer and a videographer, you'd have 100,000, right?
Yeah.
You produce these companies. A lot of these companies are producing so much content on a daily basis on all of their projects that if they just
So
put
much.
it, like you and I, it's like, especially back in the day, I had 2 people or 3 people. We might be sanding for a week. Well, there's not a lot of great content, in sanding for a week.
No,
But
not
you
so
have
much.
like 10 jobs going. You can be, but yeah, I feel really grateful that I got in a little bit ahead of the curve. Now
Yeah.
I'm from the top of the mountain.
Yeah. Like, don't get me, I'm glad people are missing it. I don't, that's fine. Do your marketing. You don't want to do Instagram.
But my
It's no
billboards,
good. But
yeah,
yeah, there are just so many content opportunities, and it's free. And like you said, get a videographer. Like, that's the most you need to put your money into, really. And then you've got videos for life. Like, I feel like when you guys started posting videos, like really well done videos, your followers really increased,
oh yeah,
and probably your traction really increased, because people were just like,
for an influencer.
damn.
But I had some viral videos,
Yeah.
and that'll do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's genius.
So, what does your team look like today? How many people?
My team right now is 3 full-time, and we've got 1 part-time, and we've got me that is quadruple full-time. um, and we're actually just merging with Spray is Life in the comments. Not hot. um, and he's just got a ton more guys. So we're about to maybe quadruple, triple at least in size overnight. So that's going to be fun.
And is your team? I mean, I know they're not, but they're made up of like hardened veteran
No,
crocodile men.
actually, the company I left, my team is made up of all of us who left the company. They're like my rescue dogs from that company. One, Steph, who works for me, has had no experience when she started, and I started training her with the other company, and she's been with me since the beginning. Then I fired her. Then I hired her back. And she's good now. She's good. So she's technically been with me since the beginning. And then we have another guy who's been with me straight through, didn't fire. And he's been with me for 3 years. He's actually an engineer, a chemical engineer by trade. An absolute genius. Needs constant direction when he's painting because he's just an engineer. So he just needs all the rules all the time. And then I have another guy who's apprentice. Like, he's got 5, he's from Australia, so he's got a couple years in Australia and a few years here. None of them experts, really. Like, they're great workers and they do good work, but no master painters on my end anyway. Josh Spray His Life has great, like exceptional painters as far as finishing coatings are concerned. But we still, based on how I set up the company, and I decided to not leave it until I could walk into a room and not know if I painted something or not. I've just stayed in the company, like pretty hands-on, and it's mostly exhausting. But I think it's gotten everybody to the level that I would want them to be on. Like, I never have to stress about leaving someone on site as far as a client's concerned. I'm stressed literally all of the time personally about leaving people on site because I'm not there to micromanage. But I'm never worried that they're going to do a crappy thing on site, you know, because I've been with them for 3 years straight just saying, don't do that, don't do that, do this, do it this way, do it this way. So yeah, none experts, but you walk into a house and you wouldn't know.
Yeah. So, tell me about this partnership, this merger.
Partnership is to get rid of my slow killer, stress.
The guy that just said that is one of the paint contractors that probably plays more golf than anybody I know, while also running one of the largest paint companies that I know. Chris is
Yeah,
an
that's
absolute
crazy.
beast.
That's crazy. That's where I'd like to be. Not playing golf, but somewhere else.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from his approach, which is very effective, but it's not very stress driven.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Josh and I are we're trying to merge right now. We're in the process of just doing the paperwork and annoying stuff so that we don't hate each other in a year. But we are basically taking parts, basically where I'm crazy, he's going to step in. Like, I can't always be on job sites because so many things bug me, and it's probably best I'm not there. Like, things that are passable and I deem they're not passable, that's it's just exhausting. Like, when you want to grow, you have to let some things go, and I just don't let them go. So I think kind of where we're landing is that I'm going to be mostly sales because I can just go in and talk to people all day long. Um, and he's going to be more job site oriented. And he's also got his own, he just does custom homes, basically. They're like exceptional finishers. They do some of the nicest work in custom homes I've ever seen. Like actual, in my opinion, I don't think Josh believes this, but in my opinion, they're the luxury painters that should be in luxury homes. You see a lot of luxury homes that have garbage painters in them.
Yes.
They're the guys you'd want to call. So he kind of runs, he'll be running that. It's not really going to change anything except I don't have to be on job sites all the time spraying every single thing we have to do. And then I can have more time probably training people to spray, setting up programs, like some pro image programs, and just get people sanding and get people, just starting at the basics, not having to just throw them on something because I'm so busy. And then I have to go back and redo everything.
Yeah, I think at the stage that you're at, and even the stage that I'm at, and a lot of people, like, I think there's a lot of contractors out there who are looking for that, like somebody else to come in. I talked to somebody this week that's going to be on the show, and she was saying the same thing of like, I need somebody to come take all these things that I suck at and do them,
Yeah.
so I can do the things I'm really good at. And that's not a very easy thing to do. Like, you can't just like put an ad in the paper and say,
No.
hey, I'm hiring, and I'm going to give you all these really important responsibilities, and good luck.
Yeah. No, like we were saying earlier, it's a unicorn. It's
Yes.
a unicorn of a situation. I was not of the mind that it would ever exist. And then Josh was just like, "Hey, let's merge. Bam, it's done." Like, and our crews are just colliding right now. Um, it's not been bad. It's been really good, but yeah, it's interesting because honestly, at this stage, it's so hard. Where we are at in sales, it's so hard to get growth past this stage because you need to be off the tools
Yeah.
100%. You can't be on them.
Yep.
Like unless you schedule a training day, you can't just be doing work on site because you're going to cap at that sales margin. And I could see myself capping at it, and I could see myself just getting crazier and crazier, not wanting to do it, but not really having an out. But yeah, no, it's good. It gives me a lot more time to do sales, to do my paperwork that I just let. I've got a box of papers to send to Josh's mom right now to just do them for me because they're just sitting, baking, because I just haven't been able to get to it. So it just closes a lot of holes.
Yeah.
I'm not really good at the back end. I can throw up quotes together, I can train, and I can do sales. But I think I saw somewhere the other day that you can't do it all 100%. And that was like a month ago or so, and that really came for me. Like you can't do sales 100% if you're doing on-site work 100% and doing
Yes.
paperwork 100%. It doesn't exist. Like that's
Yeah.
superhuman. So I feel good about it.
And it's the hard part is finding someone that you can trust to turn those things over, right? And I corn as well, and in Carney, my new partner,
Yeah.
and, it's huge to be able to trust. Like, hey, here's like sign over the papers, you can sign checks and go to the bank. Like, you can't. I would never want to go to like Indeed and post an ad and be like, all right, you're hired. Here's a
Yeah. I need someone to take my checks to the bank.
yeah. And so when you can find that, and a lot of people that are out there think the same stuff. And I think for me, it was like, all right, let go, like find the right person, be open to the right person, and then be willing to let go of some stuff.
It's a huge let go.
Yeah,
It's it's like, damn, it's a good time to be sober, but it's hard to let go of some things.
it is. It is.
Um, but
When,
it's freeing. You just have to get used to it. It's just retraining your brain to just chill out. Just chill out. The
yep,
world's not going to implode.
yep. And you don't have to do it. Maybe the other person, in theory, even the person is not quite as good. It doesn't matter because now you got to be freed up to do it. But the
Yeah,
truth is, that's the person's only job. They're probably getting better than you at it.
likely. Yeah. Yeah, and I even noticed myself starting to slip in like my quality that I was putting out on site just because I just had so many things to do. I just don't care. There's so many times where I was just so tired. I was like, I don't care anymore. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. And that's like, it goes against literally everything where I was like, oh my God, I need to get away from this.
Yeah. And it's being smarter and more about things and not
Yeah.
just like react all day, which is what I.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just, it opens up a lot. Like now I can put together a proper quoting system. Like I can get back to clients faster. Like there's some clients who message me 2 weeks and they're like, hey, have you looked at my quote yet? No, literally haven't thought about it. You know? And your close rate is so low when you're at that point.
Insanely low.
The second that someone has to follow up with you,
Done.
it must cut in half at least.
So Chris, who was talking about the thing, pain emergency, he's the one who changed the way I estimate and send out bids.
Right.
And I would now rather be 10% higher and on the spot price than take my pencil and sharpen it, worry about it for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later send it with the sentence that says, sorry it took so long to.
Thanks for your patience.
Really, that now buy something from me. Like
Yeah.
there is if you just gave them the price right away when they were excited to buy.
Yeah.
You know, I've watched Chris walk massive projects and on the spot just go like 65,000. Like, you know, could I go back, add up a linear foot of trim and square footage of walls, square footage of ceiling, into some sort of a formula if I had one, or just add it up and multiply and painstakingly go through and
Yeah.
then send out a price for $3,224? Yeah, maybe. But it's been so freeing since I changed my approach. And it's just like I've given people prices on the spot. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that looks like a $7,000 door.
Yeah.
You know, and man, the stress that took away.
Yeah. Yeah, fully. And you know what? When you wait 2 weeks, maybe you were the only painter they were going to call. But if you wait 2 weeks to give them that estimate, that's a lot of painters that can come in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that because when I first started, I was tracking my sales, and my first year I had like an 85-90% close rate. Like it was ridiculous. And A, my prices were so cheap.
Yeah.
But B, it's because I was so excited. And I was sending them an email right away, like, oh, here's your price. When can we start?
Something? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, you want us to start next week? Sure, no problem. But my close rate was so good. And now my close rate, it started to drop. And then I realized that I wasn't going to get anywhere in my business if I kept letting my sales, like it doesn't have to drop so much. Obviously, if you're doing more estimates, it's going to drop. But especially if you don't have a hugely niche market, your close rates are going to drop. But it was dropping so much. And then I realized, like, a bit of reflection on how many times I said, thanks for your patience. So sorry. So sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. Oh, I had this come up. Oh, I had, like, no one, literally no one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares. They just want their walls painted.
Think about when you want to buy something. When I want to buy something, I become the most impatient person in the
Same.
world.
I get squirrely.
And I would might want to hire you. But if I have to wait too long and you're not like, I'll start calling other people quick.
It's true.
That's a human thing, especially in the world of the internet.
And I'll even pay more for it. If I want something now, I'll pay more for it. I was looking, Milwaukee got their drawer systems come out a couple days ago, and somebody sent me a link and they were out of stock. And I was like, oh no. And then I went on every site trying to, like, no way I'm waiting for it to come back into stock. I went on every site. I went to Home Depot. I went to another store today. Just like, I would rather pay more for it now because I've hyper focused on it.
Yep.
So you might as well, like, yeah, the closing rate when you just send it in it's outstanding. Like, it's embarrassing to think about the jobs you've lost because you didn't do that.
Oh, it's sickening. Those that's like you said. That's half the houses you drive by. Like, I should go say I'm sorry.
I know.
But that all changed after Chris was like I was talking to him about how he estimates, and they send, he's doing many millions in sales per year, many millions, and they're giving their estimates get to the client like formal 5-page typed up beautiful thing 30 minutes after they see the
Yeah,
job.
I remember him saying on his live that it's just by the time he's to his car.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not a surprise now that they sell as much as they do, because of course it makes sense.
Yeah. There's a psychology to it for sure. People are impulsive, naturally impulsive.
Yes.
Nobody really wants to sit and think about it. If they're sitting and thinking about it, it's because you haven't sold them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because you didn't do a very good job. And like I said, I'm not really sales based, but I can tell when I've sold someone or not. And when I get back to them and I'm like, hey, have you guys, 4 weeks later, hey, have you guys thought about, the estimate? They say, yeah, we're still thinking about it. No, they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
You've lost that job.
Yeah. It's huge. So we were talking about earlier. You were telling me you pay your people pretty well. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah.
Chris's ears are gonna melt when you say this.
I know so many people are going to be so mad at me.
Yeah.
But I think my lowest wage I pay is 24. Just because I'd rather pay a higher wage and eat a bit of the cost or charge a bit more and not get as many jobs and have people be able to afford what they need, honestly. Like, I've worked for less, doing a lot more, but I've worked for less, and it's not really, on a one-person income, it's not sustainable to live. So I'd rather pay people more, even with no skill. Even with no skill, if you're coming in, I'm sorry, but if you're going to come into my work site and you're going to sand baseboards, casings, and windows for 10 hours a day, I can't look you in the eye and say, here's $15 an hour. Like, I can't, that's such hard work. I've gotten paid $12 an hour, I think, to do it. And you go home at the end of the day and you're a shell of a human and you can't afford anything. It's great for high school kids who maybe want to go into the trades later. Like, apprenticeship programs are great for that. Who they live at home, they're learning, whatever. But we're dealing with adults who have to pay for car payments, who have to pay rent, who maybe have a kid. Like I know one person who's supporting his whole family and on a painter's wage, like it's still tight, but he can do it. And he's not necessarily as skilled as other $25 an hour painters, but what's it matter? I don't want people working for me who can't afford food. Then I'll just end up buying them food. Like I'll pay for it somewhere.
But now American dollars and Canadian dollars are different, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Help me out a little bit.
I
Tell
think
me.
the rate is like 0.7 or something.
Okay, so 30%. They're getting. So what's 30% of 24? Somebody want to do that math? Or 70% of 24? Somebody want to do 70% of 24 and tell me what that number is? Because I mean, I'm just thinking about if I paid my apprentices $24 an hour when they came into the company. I mean, I just can't imagine how that work.
I think it would equal out to about $18 American, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. 18, 19.
I can let that, our apprentices get to that, within 3 months.
Yeah.
$18.80. Okay. All right. So that sounds a lot better to me than
It's not so bad, hey?
that's not so bad at all, actually. It was the Canadian to American translation that was really making 24 as an entry. I was just like, I started to get all defensive. Like, well, he'll pay to go to college. And, well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, things are just as more expensive here, really. The inflation kind of makes it the same.
So it all balances out. But the sentiment and now that I hear the number, I'm like 100% on board. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing too. But when I heard 24 an hour, I was just like, I don't know how you do that.
Companies here will start you at, well, before the minimum wage was 15. I think it's bumped up to 15. Companies would start you at like $14 an hour. And now they'll start you at $15 an hour. At one point, I was running a whole company's crew for them, like 10 to 20 people on average, doing all of their spray work, doing everything. And I was getting paid 23. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Because there are people painting here for, I think when I first moved back here, people were charging like, I saw some ads for like $50 a square foot of a house. Or not $50, sorry, 50 cents a square foot of a house. Like you're getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
You're getting paid nothing. And like starting, I think, was 17 or something like that. Even if you had experience, like I came in with 7 years experience into a company, spray experience, leadership experience, and would get hired at 18. So I was just like, I'm literally never going to pay that low of an income. You can't live on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you have things lined up for you and
I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm on board with it. I'm on board with. I think we're doing a lot of the same things. Like let's make this a positive, like career for people, and
yeah.
this like traumatic environment to come to work to.
Yeah, literally people who leave painting or leave paint companies leave so traumatized, genuinely PTSD from the amount they've had to work, for the little they've had to work for working for unstable bosses who just have the worst professional boundaries that you can ever imagine. Like people leave in tears. I've seen people walk off in tears in other companies. Like you shouldn't ever cry over painting. Although Josh and I were saying the other day, and someone else were saying that if you haven't cried while you were spraying at some point, you're not really a sprayer. if if you haven't cried yet, you haven't sprayed enough.
That's hilarious. I have definitely cried over my business in the past, and
Oh, I've sobbed, but I don't
yeah,
want my employees to sob.
but it mostly comes from being exhausted and overworked, and then something happens. You're on this like razor thin margin of
Yeah.
like holding on or not, and and that's where I like where you're going with this stuff. Is like, yeah, let's turn this into a profession where I go to work, I make a good living, and then I go home and I have a life. And I'm not a miserable person to be around because I'm broke and my boss is screaming at me. And, I always say, like, I want my people to make good money and I want them also to go home as, like, happy human beings who are doing good in the world. And, like, the people around them aren't like, why is this person so miserable? You know?
I was a miserable painter. Most people are miserable painters.
Yeah, our industry has a really low bar. It sucks.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it just broke me. I think so many negative experiences just broke me to the point of like, I'm either going to fix this or I don't know. I don't know. And so I've slowly I also know nothing about business. I don't read self-help books. I don't read business books. I just wing it for the most part. But I've learned over the past few years that you just have to make people feel good to work for you. Like it doesn't feel good for you at the end of the day. Even if you can compartmentalize it, it'll build up and it won't feel good for you at the end of the day when you're around all of these miserable people because you're the queen miserable. So and at first, because I'm just a very particular person in general, I have been that boss. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a perfect boss. I just come in all sunshine and roses onto job sites. I don't point anything out. I don't make anyone cry at some point. But I've tried to get to a point where I just give feedback. I'm not mean. I just give feedback. I'm not going to make you work on the weekend. I'm going to ask you if you'd like hours, but I'm not going to say you have to work on the weekend. You have to work 14 hours today. Like that's ridiculous. Like I'd rather someone go enjoy their weekend and come back the next week refreshed. Like I've spent I think months, up to 6 months without a day off in other companies. Like not one day off.
That's crazy.
And it's not sustainable. And at first I was like, okay, we got to work weekends. And we would do some weekend jobs and then people would come back on Monday and they're just wiped. Like they're working at snail pace on Monday. Like just go home at that point. And then I was like, oh, maybe we just shouldn't work 24/7.
Yep.
And so I just learned that work less, work better, pay people better, they'll feel better. It's a cycle.
Yeah.
It all feeds itself.
Yeah. I How come you don't read business and self-help books?
I just don't have the attention span. I'll read like little taglines in them and then like, yeah, that's good. And then I just put it down. Like I got what I needed.
What about books on tape or like Audible?
I just don't have the attention span.
Wow.
I start and then I will like fall asleep if it's an audiobook or even if it's another book that I'm reading. I'll just straight fall asleep. I'm just easy to put to sleep, I think. I've started listening to podcasts
Okay.
slowly because it's more condensed and it's smaller, like 20-minute ones. Anything over, like, I wouldn't listen to this
You
podcast.
know. Yeah, I would imagine I turn a lot of people off by this long format. Um, but this is the format that I enjoy listening to content in,
Yeah,
and so it's what I decided to do.
I think a lot of people do. I've listened to a few of these shows, and it's caught my attention, and I've stayed through them. But for the most part, unless it's like very pointed of what I want to know, I don't have time for all of the in between chatter and the whatever it is that I'm probably doing right now.
Yeah, well, and that's what I try to do here. Now I'm not, as we talk about the meta of this whole thing, but like from the beginning, it's like, all right, let's get right into it and let's talk and let's like, because I think there's something to be said though for these longer, as we draw this out, stuff starts to come out that wouldn't come out in a 25-minute interview. That I think for me, as someone who listens to long form podcasts, like that's where you get some of that gold, is hearing context and deeper stuff. And
For sure.
a 30-minute interview is, I don't know,
I think the painting ones are helpful because obviously I want to know about the painting ones, but when it's just like random business advice from some guy, like, I don't care. It's probably going to make me angrier than it is going to motivate me. For the most part, they're telling me I need to just change my routine and just discipline myself. I'm not going to do that.
You mentioned something when we were talking about setting people up for success. How do you think about that, and what do you do to make that happen?
I have tried to just start asking people what they want. What do you want from the company? I haven't always been the best for implementing it because we've been so busy. And that's another thing where the merge comes in, is because I genuinely want people to have a career in painting. Because you can make top dollar as a painter. Like, depending on what skills you want to harness or whether you want to start your own company, you can make a lot of money. There's no reason it can't be a career, but people get so scared.
Yep.
By, not even by the attitude of everybody, but just, you kind of cap in painting. There's a cap, and a lot of people hit it, and a lot of people don't know how to go above it because they don't have employers who want to push them above it.
Yeah.
So I've just started asking people, where do you want to be? You know, I might not be the fastest at getting you there, but we will get you there. You know, I will change my whole business around to get you there, because if I can't, what's the point of my business? I'm not just in business to make money. Like, I could make the same amount of money somewhere else and be so much less stressed. So yeah, if someone wants to be, you know, a sprayer, we'll just get them spraying. Someone doesn't want to be a sprayer and wants to be something else, we'll get them on job site management, you know? It's a slow process, especially when you're a small company. It's easier in a bigger company to say, hey, what do you want? Okay, great. All of these people are out there doing all those things, so I have time to take you and, you know, shadow with you. But I'm working on it.
I like that. So, how is we? I don't know if we I want to go a little on it. Well, I haven't started the partnership yet, the merger, as you call it.
We've started it.
What does it look like? How does that work?
We've just shit mixed it right now, but currently it looks like Josh has his new build guys, has his custom home guys. We do about the same amount in sales annually. We're going in on a 50-50 partnership.
Well,
He also did,
brother, he has how many?
I don't know, like 10. I haven't
He
counted them.
has 10. You have 4, and you do the same amount. Your charge is really high.
Say
Your
that again.
So you have half the number of employees, total painters in the company, and you do the same in revenue.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. I think he needs to probably raise his prices.
That's what I tell him.
I think that's very safe to say. But also, you're killing
Yeah.
with
I didn't think about that until you said it.
um. That's pretty. I mean, that means you're producing twice as much revenue per hour than his company. And if he's got 10 guys, he knows what he's doing. So you've this. I'm hoping this feeds my hypothesis, which is that marketing is and sales are the most important lead domino in a company.
100%.
Okay,
It's all marketing.
because of you and I are in the same boat, and Instagram is
Arnett.
our net close to the same. Our net, okay, but total revenue is.
I think Josh actually does do a little more than I do.
I hope. Well, I mean, it is what it is. But I think that, like, my point to everyone is always, I just preach what I've come to learn over the hard way is just sales and marketing, because then you can charge more, which allows me to pay a living wage and be profitable. It's like so many people have just these painters have eroded our value market by being desperate and not running good businesses that
Yeah.
have bottom.
You have to let some people go. Like, you have to let some customers go. Um, I I charge probably double of what some painters charge. Sometimes we're on par for certain things, but other things double. Why not? This is what we want to make.
Yep.
This is what I think we're worth. And at the end of a job, I've never had a customer tell me that we weren't worth that. I've had customers who haven't had us in their house tell me they can't pay that.
Yep.
But I've never had one single complaint saying like, "Oh, I don't think that was worth it." So, and even like just recently, I hate cabinet jobs. I like cannot stand them. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna charge $50 extra on top of every door because I don't want them, and if I get them, I want to be paid decently for them. And then I realized it's actually easier to sell when you're the highest bid than it is when you're the same as literally every other person coming in with the standard price. So then I actually started getting more cabinet jobs. It kind of backfired, and it's kind of good.
Well, good thing you have Spray's Life to come in.
Yeah, and it's great now that we have Josh. It's so great. I like have no stress at all. I want to sell he's gonna hate me. I want to sell literally every kitchen now because we're charging enough to do it. We have systems. He's given me, I'm not gonna say them, but he's given me systems that have like blown my mind, almost brought me to tears. It relieved so much stress from me. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'll sell kitchens and I'll sell them for this much money. And now I have more energy to do it. And now I'm selling them for more money. And now homeowners are questioning, why is that so cheap?
Yes.
I'll tell you why it's so cheap. And then you've got the job.
Done. That
Yeah,
has been.
so we do a lot in sales because I just decided that I don't want to be a broke painter.
Thank you.
Why?
Thank you.
Why would I do all this to be a broke painter? Like,
No,
I'm not rolling in money, but I'm not stressed.
yes. But the lead domino that all these craftsmen don't want to listen to is marketing, right?
It's marketing and saying no to jobs that aren't going to serve you.
Which is you don't get to if you haven't done marketing.
No, you don't.
You don't get to say no. You don't get to charge, FU pricing if
No.
you need that job. And you need that job because you didn't do enough marketing to bring in way more leads than you could possibly service so that you could charge a, a living wage.
Yeah, that's what it all breaks down to. It's it's just nicer. Like I have normal business stress, but I don't have the stress that other painters have. Like
Yes.
that's silly to me. I'm in a huge place of privilege also to be able to do like it's not easy. It takes like XYZ lining up to be able to get you can't just place yourself there.
No.
You gotta you gotta grind to get there, and then over time you see what you're worth. You know what you can charge, you know what other people charge, you know the level you want to be at. Go for it. Even if it's at first it was just like the first few jobs, or like here jobs here and there. I would be like, we were kind of busy, so I'd be like 40,000 and just not really need the job, and they'd say yes, and I was like, oh damn, okay. And then you start to see how less stressed you are on those jobs,
Yeah.
and like I'm literally never stressed about getting paid. I'm never stressed if someone goes over hours. I'm never stressed. Like we started this house, and we painted, I think, like 5 rooms the wrong color, and I was like, okay, well, that sucks, but do it again, I guess. But it wasn't a stressor. I wasn't like, oh man, I'm not going to make any money on this job.
Yep.
Because I had it built in that I might not make my margin that I want to make, but I won't pay to do a job. And I don't
Because
think I've ever paid to do a job.
yeah.
And I know a lot of painters who are like, oh, I ate that cost and it sunk me.
Yeah.
That's
But
ridiculous.
those are the same contractors who are like, I'm word of mouth only. Oh, that's cool because I'm word of mouth. Like,
Yeah.
all right. Like when people say that, I just feel bad for them because I used to say that. I
I've said that, yeah.
and now I'm just like, oh, buddy, you are missing a huge, huge opportunity to really like write your own ticket.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Word of mouth is other people telling other people who you are. Marketing is you telling other people who you are.
Yeah.
So you're the first in.
Yeah.
And it does. It makes a huge difference. I just had a friend of mine do my branding, and I've even noticed that even since it's only been a month, but it's been like ridiculous. I gave her what I wanted. Maybe this was just like a huge coincidence, but I gave her what I wanted out of my company, and she did the branding for it with like a huge form, like a really aggressively long form about what I wanted from my company and who I was. Like I hated every minute of it. But it got me, by the time I gave out my business cards to the paint stores that push us and clients and put it on Instagram and whatever, I had almost 3 out of 4 jobs line up instantly in the market that I wanted them to be in. Like I was mostly in suburbs, and I said, I want inner city. Like I want inner city homes. They're better for portfolios. There's more money.
Yes.
And within a month, like almost all of my estimates were inner city.
Yep.
Just based on how I started branding myself.
I love to hear this because this has been my experience 100%. And I feel like I shortcutted the system. Like I got way farther ahead by just understanding social media and understanding branding a little bit and marketing myself well.
Yeah.
And I just see too many people who are obsessed with the painting. And if I paint better And it's like, no, man, painting better is not going to get you the freedom that you want.
It's a fine balance. You need to have the craft to back up
You do.
the marketing. But you know what? People who market well and people who have good customer service, they're still going to get less complaints. They're still going to get less callbacks. Your clients aren't going to look around the house as much. If you come in and you're clean cut and you show up and you communicate and you close the job that day and you finish rooms at a time, don't leave everything in just chaos, they're not going to start looking, because what they're going to do is they'll see one wall that's left unpainted, and it's left unpainted, and they think that it's finished, and they see all these imperfections on it, and then they're looking, and then they're looking, and then they're looking, when really if you just have good organization, good communication, show up clean, keep the job site clean, keep dust down, no one cares.
No. And somebody just said paint right is where I start. I don't agree. I think that way too many people think that it's the painting first, and they don't understand that the client doesn't care about the painting like we do.
No, the client's already bought your company.
Start with sales and marketing, and perform the paint job. Don't I say that we're performing the highest level paint jobs there are.
Yeah.
But my obsession is not on the paint; it's on the experience and the marketing, because that's what people remember, and let's be real, that's what our industry is at the most. Like, you could go to a bar and there's going to be some dude who can paint.
Yeah.
Right? Like, painting is not rocket science.
No.
But how many companies can actually give an amazing customer service experience and make the client rave about them at the end?
Almost none.
Almost none. Because we're all obsessed with how do we get a straighter line or less orange peel. And, for most of us, for most painters, I don't think that that's where they're spending their time.
Yeah. Literally, no one cares.
Yeah.
Most times I ask, because I try to be pretty forthright when I go into a house, and I say, what do you care about? And I'll see something and I'll point it out, and I'll be like, oh, do you want a sprayed finish, or do you want a brush and rolled finish if you're living in your home, right? And so many people will be like, well, what's the difference? What's on my trim now? They don't even know. It can be like glass. Their trim is glass. And they're like, is that a brushed finish? They don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a good painter. They don't know. Like, unless...
The most expensive 2 rooms of my career. And the client, I'm like, look at this. This trim is unbelievable. And she looks at me, you really like that trim paint, don't you? And I was like, all right, I give up. Like, she couldn't have cared less how good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so disappointing when you're like, this is a masterpiece. And they're like, oh, I love that feature wall.
The color looks nice. Can I hang my things now on the wall? Like,
yeah. But if you leave a job and you haven't given the customer a good experience, they're going to want to make up that cost somewhere else. And then they're going to want that cost to be in your finish. Yeah. So if you've left anything, even if it's minor, even if it's a little bump on the wall that's like 20 feet up a ceiling, they're going to want to justify that cost somewhere if they didn't get it from you in communication.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've had jobs where I've dropped the ball and the customer is like, oh, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it's such an annoying thing to say as a painter, to say like, oh, we knew about that. Or, oh, we're going to get to that. Or, oh, yeah, we'll take care of that. That's so annoying. And they wouldn't do it if you had just been thorough with your business approach.
Yes. Paint finisher, I have to pick on you because I vehemently disagree with you, so I'm not going to let this one slide. I'm sorry, but he's president now, because you're next level out. But if the results ain't there, you ain't gonna you can't ask for top wages. It just doesn't pan out in the long run. I disagree. I think that there are a bunch of companies who don't do very good paint jobs who are making great profit and are making people actually happy. I mean, as a painter, I think every painter here, I've talked about companies in my area, and I'd be like, I can't believe they're still in business. They're thriving. I've seen their paint jobs. I've fixed their paint jobs. How come they're so busy and they're so thriving? Well, because they focused on the things that people actually care about. Now, our
100%.
clients, like my clients, yeah, they do. I happen to also be in a market that can bear
Yeah.
$6,000 front doors. But I think that the point of that is, no, the long run is what's on your side for the long run is happy people and great customer service.
Yeah, fully. I know companies here who do absolute garbage work and they charge the same as me.
Yep.
And they don't pay their employees well. And like, I mean you can, but their quality's not good. You hire college kids. There are college kids getting paid the same amount putting garbage on your walls. Your paint
But
job is going to fail within 2
awesome.
years.
And when it, and that's where, like, I think all things being equal, if you're going to pick one of the two to start with, I'm not saying don't do both, but if I could tell old me, like young me, which one to start with, it would be start with the sales and marketing and customer experience, and then get to up in your level of paint jobs.
Fully.
Because 99% of the painting industry is obsessed with upping their level of paint jobs, and they're sitting around going, how come I don't have any money? I'm busy. Yeah. Oh, I'm busy. It's like, well, you don't have any money, though.
Yeah.
You know,
what are you looking for?
We're not talking about turds, though, in this analogy he's saying. But because people perceive the paint job differently when it's gone through a great experience, like you were saying.
There's just human psychology to it.
Yeah.
It's just a normal thing for someone to just not look as hard if you don't give them a reason to not look as hard. And that doesn't mean your job is not as good. It just means they're not looking. If you look for a flaw, you'll find a flaw in literally anything. So why, even if it's passable, so why make them look?
Yes. I did one of the best gloss ceilings we've ever done. Arguably, it was better than one of the best gloss ceilings I've ever done. Happened not a year ago. It was the worst. We dropped the ball on the customer service experience. I put, like, we messed up a step in the process, and that go to another job, brought another fill in, and this job dragged on, and with multiple crews, and by the time we were finished, there was nothing that would have made this client happy, and we delivered a beautiful final.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it has nothing to do with. I posted the pictures online. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, the ceiling was..."
Perfection.
But that client had made up their mind that they didn't like us, and they were going to find, and in their heads now, because painting is a subjective thing. Like, does this look good? Is completely subjective, and they were like, "No, we don't like it." I could have done. We could have done a lot worse, but been on schedule, and they would have been ecstatic and made the final payment and gave everybody bonuses.
Fully.
It's crazy. I wish someone would have told me that 10 years ago.
I know. I'm glad I got to see it in another company, because I would have never gotten there myself as a painter, because you're so in the thick of it that you can't see it. Like, I love painting. I wish I could paint in my company every day, but it's not doable. But I actually didn't really realize it until about the last year and a half, when I actually started really failing at my customer service.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, wow, this is a horrible experience for everybody. Like, all I had to do was call them back when you know, or call them before they had to call me, or tell them this thing that I didn't want to tell them because I had anxiety or whatever. Everyone has their reasons for not doing it, but you just have to do it. You just have to do it.
Yeah. It's the thing I'm most afraid of now. It's not, is there a drip? Is like, is there a holiday? It's not, it's, did I forget to follow up? Did I not proactively send an email? Like,
Mm-hmm.
those I'm terrified of. Those are the things that will ruin my business the fastest.
Oh, fully.
Because
I'm always afraid I'm gonna get a review come up 1 star that I just like didn't follow up.
yeah,
I'm just like waiting for those to slide in because people get so mad
they do.
and they sit at home and they stew. They start pacing. They call their mom, tell their mom all about it. Their mom gets them all worked up. And they're like, yeah, leave them a 1 star.
Oh man.
Because that's what I do. Like, if I don't get good service, I hyper focus on it.
Yeah.
And I either forget about it or I like it eats me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think painter finisher, we're gonna agree on that one. Try it our way. Try it my way and tell me if you don't find success. Painting, no one's saying you see the work that we put out. No one's saying that the work is not important.
No,
We put out,
the work has to still be good.
yeah, but still, if there's a lead domino, it is customer service, and client experience, and marketing over the painting.
It's hand in hand.
Yeah, it's not
You
mutual.
you have more time to do a great job if you're not stressed and following up with touch-ups all the time.
Yeah.
Like, think about how many hours you waste annually doing touch-ups for jobs that shouldn't have had callbacks. Like, that could have been put into your work.
$6,000-7,000 doors, and the client stands on the street, looks at it, and goes, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" Writes me a check, and then we go home.
Yeah.
When I used to deliver $300 paint jobs on doors with crappy customer service, click, there goes the flashlight, or like,
Yeah.
like the amount of blue tape I used to get, I had on all my, but I now truly believe that the amount of blue tape is directly proportional to the customer service experience and not to the paint job.
I'd say 99% of the time that's true.
Yeah.
There are
And
some
there'll
there
be
are
a
some
couple,
very special people out there that
yeah. But most of the time we saw those people coming anyway. And
oh, they
hopefully
have red flags. They get a hard no now.
yes. We chose not to ignore the red flags, and now we're sitting here wishing that we could make someone happy that can't be. But I just think that more important, I just think this is because when you're guilty so long, now you're passionate about
Yeah.
change it because like I've seen the light.
Yeah. It's like people who start eating keto. And now you have to tell everybody that they're missing out.
Totally. And that they're
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
all right. I think we kind of covered everything that I want to talk about. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, that was good. People who quit smoking, yeah. People who quit drinking, us just ranting on.
Yeah, right. I think I'm glad that people got to hear and see, more faces. Do you follow Brad Gosling?
Yeah, I do. I think he's from this city also.
Is he?
Or
He just
Edmonton, maybe?
about being clean and recovery, and I forget. I didn't even read the whole thing. I just saw the gist of it. Read the
I
comments.
saw that too. I love that.
Yeah. I think for a long time, addicts were so stigmatized that, it's like you would get clean in secrecy and then just try to like assimilate and be a normal person.
Oh, fully.
Like I didn't know anybody that like got clean in my life and was sober. Like maybe a couple, but not really. And there weren't
No,
like
I didn't either.
so. I love that we can be on here and be like, yeah, like So I had a disease, like I'm treating it, like moving on.
Yeah,
It's
it's
possible.
it's such a huge difference. I the first time I got sober, I think I was the only sober person that I was around me. Like it didn't, and I'm just like shaking, like guys, don't mind me, like, and I was just like crying for months, and it's just so isolating, and there's nobody to say like, hey, yeah, that's normal, like, hey, don't worry about it, or like, hey, you're gonna have some weird emotions for a while.
Yeah,
So it is nice to see everyone just like post how horrible it is, but also how the light. I guess it's nice to see. It's so stigmatized,
it
and
is.
has been.
It's
So
less every, you know,
yeah,
and it's kind of like you were saying earlier, like, hey, this is me, and like you can take it or leave it. Like, you know, yeah, I'm an addict, but I'm in recovery and I don't have to use anymore a day at a time, and it makes me an awesome, like, thriving human being. And hopefully, by talking about it, a couple other people who are struggling, I remember what the struggle felt like, and I didn't have people to look to and be like, oh, I could do it if he could do it.
yeah. No, there was nobody. There was that one maybe old uncle that you knew that drank O'Doul's. And like that's it. And they're like, he just doesn't drink, and nobody talks about it.
I've never understood the beers.
The
I
what?
just non-alcoholic
Oh,
beers.
I have a 4-pack in my fridge that I bought when I moved in here 11 months ago, and I have not touched it.
Yeah. I was at a place in Maine, a burger place, and this like guy came up to the table and he was like, "I'm here from the local brewery. We developed like a really awesome tasting non-alcoholic beer." And my brother's is sober as well, and we just like looked at each other and were like, "Dude, I don't want to drink your non-alcoholic beer. It doesn't taste that good. I'm
I
sorry.
don't think you understood why I was drinking beer in the first
What's
place.
the taste of beer?
It's not that good. We
No,
don't need to replicate it.
seltzer. Now that's where it's at. I saw you drinking a LaCroix.
Yeah, I go hard on them. Like it's ridiculous. I put a full shopping bag out, like stuffed full out for the alley guy that comes along and gets it maybe every 2 days.
Yeah, I'm at least 12 a day.
Yeah, it's nuts. I'm always having to do the math to justify it to myself. Like, it's okay, you drank this much daily. And like it's less.
And it's like guilt free.
Yeah.
There's hurt. There's oh man.
I know, it's so good. A lot of it was the fizz. Like I would have such a hard time coming home at the end of the day and not having something fizzy. And like
Yeah.
fizzy and not necessarily I don't really like sweet things. So alcohol was perfect. Like a gin and soda or whatever. And then I lost that, and then I just needed something. And then I realized that uh the seltzers and the whatever sugar-free drinks had the exact same taste, but they just no alcohol. I swear it got me sober. Like it kept my sanity.
That's tremendous. I've never heard that, but I love my seltzer. And it is like that. It's like that crutch. It's like that like little warm blanket over there that I can feel no guilt about.
Yeah,
It's tremendous.
yeah. And you know what? It's probably just muscle memory, but I think the like click of the can and the sip, it still is calming. It's
Yeah,
not quite the same, but it's still calming.
it is. And you get to be the same you and not have to be.
Yeah, just go home and have a hard bubbly, nice tall glass of seltzer.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Up tomorrow morning feeling like $1,000,000.
Yeah. Hydrated, ready to go.
I'm the most hydrated I've ever been in my life.
I actually have a really hard time drinking water in general
Me too.
because I'm so used to job sites just like not having bathrooms or whatever that I just train myself to just never drink water. So now I've just trained myself to drink water, and those it was like two birds, one stone. Where now I'm hydrated and sober
Let's go.
and spending $50 a week on sugar-free drinks.
Me too. But I way more than that at the bar on
Yeah,
plenty of.
for sure.
Well, this has been awesome. We have 3 questions that we ask at the end of every show
Okay,
because that's our show and we're continuing.
sure.
So the first question I have for you is I need a DIY painting tip.
Ooh, a DIY painting tip. Oh my god. Oh my god, I feel so burnt out from my AMA today. I'm trying to think. Fuck. How am I this bad on this spot with a DIY painting tip?
Wait, are you actually a
I'm not
painter?
even a painter. This is all just a ploy.
You're just like a massive con artist
I feel like one right now.
doing one of the weirdest cons of all time.
Okay, my DIY painting tip that everyone on TikTok hates is if you have a gap in your baseboards or in your stairs, to tape it and caulk it and paint it. And it's going to be okay.
Wait, I'm not following this. What is the TikTok thing?
Everybody rips me apart on TikTok where I caulk the tape line
Yeah.
on like uneven surfaces, or like I had a woman whose baseboards were pulling off and they're like faux finished baseboards, and I'm not going to touch up faux finished baseboards, so you just tape the line like you guys do as well, and you
Yeah.
caulk it
Yeah.
and you wipe the caulk away and you paint it and you pull it off, and it's genius.
It's
and
genius.
everybody just like loses their minds
Really?
angry about it. Yeah, I don't know if you probably don't get as many trolls, but
Well, I just don't read any of my TikTok comments. I haven't made a TikTok post in months because I can't afford. But we're gonna start back soon, I think. But TikTok blew up for us to a point where I don't look at any TikTok. Most of the comments are like one first.
I know TikTok's so annoying. I just post a video and then I forget it exists.
I haven't been on TikTok in a long time. I completely just like stopped having that be part of my life.
It's annoying.
I
It's
wasn't
loud.
I wasn't making any money from it. I had 550,000 followers and didn't make $1 on TikTok.
I know. I like that I could be kind of rude to the people who commented
Yes,
because
you could
it's none of my clients and they're never going to be my clients, so I could be a little sassy.
such a jerk. It's beautiful because,
Yeah.
but time you don't make any money, you don't do any work from TikTok. So I was just like, I can't justify spending time doing this.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my horrible DIY painting tip.
Okay,
I'm not a painter. I don't know what I'm doing.
you're using clear caulking.
I don't even think it needs to be clear.
Okay,
It could be clear. I've had some private account tell me that it needs to be clear and I'm a hack, so maybe it
oh
should
that
be clear.
no, I like the clear on like rough surfaces or like on hardwood
Yeah, where
floors.
the caulking is going to squeeze through and you get like the little, on like brushed oak or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yes,
for sure. For sure, yeah.
yeah.
Clear's the way. Don't listen to me.
I just think if you get to choose, it costs more. I like to use clear caulking.
I always find clear is more likely to have little air bubbles in it. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't smooth as nicely. It's kind of annoying.
that's true.
But downfalls to
And
each.
pull the tape wet or dry.
Dry.
Me too.
Stop pulling your tape while it's wet. That's what I'll say to DIY homeowners.
Bang! Drop
Stop
the mic.
it. Sherwin tells you to do it. Home Depot tells you to do it. Don't do it. And
There's not.
definitely don't do it when it's just dry. Like, leave it. Leave it alone. You'll be okay. pull it tomorrow. It needs to set up. You're gonna pull the whole paint off of your wall if you pull it in like 2 hours, and it's just a hot mess if you pull it while it's wet. It's
I
just
totally
not
agree.
necessary.
That's a great detail, I say. All right, I need your favorite painting paraphernalia, tool, equipment, software that you're into, whatever.
My favorite painting paraphernalia, I think it's probably my Milwaukee light. I
Which one?
the just the little rectangle inspection light. It's small enough for me to always have on me, so I can just be that extra level of crazy.
Oh, I love this. I'm gonna have to get one and try it.
They're so good. They last like, I don't know, like 45 minutes. And I just like to come in on job sites and put it on the wall and tell everybody it's all wrong.
Do you use the Festal inspection lights?
No, I want to get one. I
Oh,
don't know if I could handle
I
it.
I don't know.
I can't handle the Milwaukee. Like,
Gosh,
this is all garbage. I'm a garbage painter.
if you light up one of those things, oh
I
man,
see it on people's videos and I get stressed.
I like. I was very skeptical of them when I heard about them. $350 light, and then I got one and put it on a wall, and I was like, oh my gosh. It's like putting gloss on without doing anything.
Yeah. You're like,
These
I'm a hack.
there,
They make you feel so bad about yourself.
they really do. But if you're doing gloss work, they're very, very
Yeah,
effective.
you need it.
Yeah.
You
But
almost need it.
flat on the walls, don't get an inspection light.
No, Josh said put that shit away, yeah. See, that's why Josh is going to be doing the job site.
I
Because I
love
pull
it.
out my little annoying light.
I'm gonna get one and just come around and I'll make a video. All right, so now I need you to give me the most embarrassing, worst horror story you got on a job from a job site. Something you've never told anybody.
Oh my god. I only have other people's secrets. I think. I could tell someone else's secret.
Tell someone. I don't know. I don't know if we want to start that press.
It's anonymous.
Okay, tell me an insane, but then you have to tell me one of your own as well.
Okay, let me think for a second.
But I want to hear the craziest one.
Oh my god, I don't even know if I have one.
You've never made a mistake. Other than not sending a bid, you never drove past the house and were just like, oh my God. Remember that time?
Oh, okay. If it's like that kind of embarrassing, like your work is embarrassing.
Or a mistake. Or Nick dropped a gallon of paint on a carpet, couldn't get it out, and put a chair over the top.
Okay, I just did. I've done that. I
All right.
But we just spilled a bunch of paint and the homeowners walked in and we just like chucked a drop sheet on top of it and just let it sit until they left again. But that's not my bad one. That was just one. I just said this on my AMA, but I was actually listed like a plethora of mistakes that I shouldn't have listed probably to prospective clients. But
What's an AM?
might ask me anything.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were doing one house for like an Olympic swimmer, someone really fancy in the Olympics, and it was like a $2 million house on top of a hill in the boonies somewhere, and it was the first time I'd really seen brushed oak floors. And anyway, we were walking across it, and I was walking and I was walking and I was shaking the can as I was going, and I didn't realize that the lid just like, and this is still such a big thing for me to do today. I do it all the time. The lid was not on. And I was just shaking, and it was just oil primer just going with the wind. Just like shaking this oil primer all over these brushed floors. And then I just had, I don't know how I've made it to this point in life. Like, I don't know how I didn't quit on the spot on that day. Like, it was so bad. I had to have a little toothbrush and like a tiny bit of, and they were like site finished floors, so it's not like, it wasn't factory finished engineered hardwood or anything. It was just like perfectly site finished 6-inch brushed oak flooring. And I just had my little toothbrush and my little can of mineral spirits. And you couldn't use Goof Off because that would just strip the flooring completely. And you had to do it so lightly. And I think I spent hours. I think about it pretty regularly, actually. The trauma. So that was pretty embarrassing.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I've got tons of those. I've made so many mistakes.
If you want to share another one, you can. Get it off your chest.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna cap it.
Well, Faith, thank you so much for joining me. This has been tremendous.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Cool. See ya.
Yeah, there you go. That was awesome.